everybody, this is Heather Sides. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Spokane, Washington. I come to you live every Wednesday night with 3 new projects to share with you. Usually they're cards, sometimes they're a little bit different. Tonight I have 3 cards for you. Now while we're giving everybody a minute to get on here, I'm just checking my computer. I want to make sure to get this up on my big screen so that I can see all of your comments. Speaking of comments, I encourage you to participate in conversation while we're doing this. It just makes it a little bit more fun. So let's see what I've got here. Okay. Oh, and it looks like it's even on mute already, so I don't have to worry about quieting down my computer. My camera stand is, or phone stand, whatever it is a little bit lopsided tonight. It looks like it kind of wants to take a little bit of a tumble. So let's see. Got you here on the big screen. And there we go. I see Judy and Marcy. Hey guys, welcome. Thanks for joining us tonight. So I moved, well, I got most of it done a week ago, a little over a week ago. And, you know, we're slowly getting settled into a new routine here. My son has been setting up my printer and my computer and all of that for me. And he hates being my IT person. But he has done it very graciously. So I commend him for doing that without grumbling too much. Let's see, Lucy is settling into the new place. A couple things that are different here than they were before. For one, hang on, Lucy, she was not allowed on the furniture before. And hey Kathy, hey Susan, welcome. But she wasn't allowed on the furniture before. I love letting my dogs on the couch because then if I'm sitting there watching TV, they can snuggle with me, whatever. Well, here at this house, that rule has gone out the window and she's allowed on the couches now. And she loves being able to get up there because right behind one of the couches is a big window to our front yard. And so she likes to be able to stand up on the couch and look out the window. So another rule that's different here, she was not allowed to sleep in the bed at night at the old house. And there was a couple reasons for that. One, my husband did not want the dog sleeping in the bed. And you know what? A lot of people don't like that. And so that was okay. Another rule or another reason was because she wasn't totally housebroken yet. And I didn't know if I trusted her to be out. So we moved here and I made a little bit of a switch and thought, well, I'll test it, let her sleep with me at night. And she's been doing great. So that rule's gone out the window too. So she's sleeping with me, she's getting on the couch. She's really got it made here. She's pretty happy with this new living situation. Let's see. I don't know if there's a whole lot else to report. You know, like I said, mainly we've just been getting settled into the new place and trying to get stuff unpacked. You can see boxes behind me. Some are empty, some are still full. I have a lot of my studio set up now, so that's kind of nice. Starting to feel a little bit more like home and getting into a creative groove, having my stuff around me. So I like that a lot. Marsha's joined us and Nell has joined us. Welcome. Let's see, I kind of think we might have a little bit of a light crowd tonight. There's a big Stampin' Up! Event coming up this weekend on Saturday. And a lot of Stampin' Up! Demonstrators will be attending that event. And so I have a feeling they'll be traveling today and tomorrow. And so they may not be with us tonight. So I'm kind of sad that I won't be attending that event as well. But, you know, sometimes life gets in the way of itself and you just got to roll with it. So that's what I'm doing. I'm rolling. Okay, so I just have a quick little thing, housekeeping that I want to talk to you about. We'll also do our weekly drawing. Now, remember, for those of you who are new, what gets you into the drawing? Well, participating in the conversation, because as I mentioned earlier, I love that. This is my social outlet, so I love it when you guys participate in the conversation. And that can look like many different things. That can be just saying hello, tell me where you're from. It can be asking questions. It can be answering questions that other people have asked. It can be just talking to one another about stuff that's going on. Any comments that you make while you're watching this count. And I also include people who are watching on the replay, whether it's here on Facebook or on the YouTube replay. Just make sure you leave a comment, and then the day or a couple of hours before next week's live, I go in and I make note of everybody who made comments, and then I do a random drawing for a prize. So if you would like to be entered in that drawing, make sure you at the very least say hello and introduce yourself. To those of you who are new this week and haven't joined us before, welcome. It's good to have you. I love having new people find me. And to those of you who have been here before, thank you for returning. I love that we're starting to establish a little bit of a community here, and I see familiar names, and that just makes me happy. So let's get this camera turned around, and I want to show you what I've got to show you. We'll do our drawing, and then we'll get going on our cards. So hang on just a second. Okay, get my phone all lined up here. Melinda has just joined us. Welcome, Melinda. Okay, whoa, this stand is really kind of top heavy. It's really wanting to tip over tonight. Bear with me here. I'm just trying to get everything on the camera, get everything lined up, and I may have to put something at the base of that stand because I just kind of envision it toppling over on us in the middle of everything. So let me find something sort of heavy for it. Let's see. And a water bottle does the trick. So, okay, so fitting florets. I mentioned this last week, but I want to mention it again. It is a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous set, a suite of products that Stampin' Up! Oh my goodness, my dog just unplugged something, and now I have no monitors, so that's not exactly ideal. But anyway, sorry about that. It looks like Teresa's just joined us. Welcome, Teresa. Hang on just a second. I'm going to see if I can fix this monitor situation. Lucy. Get out. Hang on, I found out the problem. The dog did unplug something, and I'm trying to get it plugged back in. Lucy, no. Okay, I'm just about there. Sorry about this, you guys. I'm trying to move stuff out of the way so I can fix this. Okay. Oh, she just unplugged something again. Okay, all right. I am sorry about that, you guys. I think we're back in business. Let's see what we've got here. Anyway, okay, so this fitting floret suite. Hey, Brandy, welcome. Haven't seen you in a while. So this fitting floret suite. This stamp set, the bundle, the stamps and the dies are going to be available in our new mini catalog that's going to come out in January, and it's going to be available January through April. But we are getting a sneak peek, early opportunity to purchase it. They've made it available to us now, and so you can order it now. But here's the really cool part. You want to order it right away rather than waiting until the catalog comes out, because other items that are also available right now are available on a limited edition basis. Once they're gone, and they will not be in that new mini catalog. There's these little gold swirly embellishments. Let's see if I can get it lined up so you can see it. You can kind of see them there. These little gold embellishments, this stamp set, it's framed and festive. This will be great for Christmas or the holiday season. I love the fonts on it. And then this paper. Isn't this paper gorgeous? And let me tell you, this printout does not do it justice at all. It's so beautiful. And it also is limited edition. So these three items, the paper, the stamp set, the gold embellishments, these are all while supplies last. So you want to get on this now to get these. Brandy, I know you like you like the different papers and such. This is beautiful. It's so gorgeous. And yeah, there's a couple of pieces in here that are sort of Christmassy, but for the most part, it's not very Christmassy. So you could use it year round. So anyway, if you are interested in the whole suite of products, you can get that for $97.50, or you can buy it in pieces. You can buy just one of the items. You can buy the bundle with the stamps and the dies, or you can just buy a single piece, whatever you like out of there. So that's available now, again, while supplies last. Our drawing for this week, I got everything together. Kathy has joined us. Welcome, Kathy. Marsha's joined us. Welcome, Marsha. So this week I have a roll of this great ribbon. It's striped grosgrain ribbon, and it's pool party stripes. You can see this here, and I love it. I just think it's so adorable. And this week's winner is Cheryl Randalls Merzenich. I hope I said that right, Cheryl. I checked, and I do not have your mailing address. So if you will contact me either at stamphappenings@gmail.com or through a private message here on Facebook, then I can get this mailed out to you. Just to let you guys know, if you were expecting a prize from me recently in the last few weeks, my move kind of came up unexpectedly, and I got behind on getting things mailed out, and then of course things got packed and needed to be unpacked, and I mean, you know how moves go, right? So if you have not gotten your prize yet, it is on the way. It's just that, again, life got in the way of doing what I was trying to accomplish. So congratulations, Cheryl, on winning your prize there. Hang on, I'm sorry. Lucy? Hey, Lucy. No. My goodness, this dog is a troublemaker. Okay, so let's get started on the products or projects that I have for this week. So the first one, our first project is using hand-penned petals. I haven't really used this in a while. It also uses the painted texture embossing folder, and I used my Stylish Shapes dies. If you don't have these dies yet, I really do recommend them. I use them quite a bit. They're great because they are generic shapes. They are great for so many different cards, and I really do use them quite a bit. Gosh, I'm dumping stuff all over my desk already. Bear with me here. Okay, so this first card we're going to work on is this one right here. I stamped my envelope, and here we go. It's just a little feel better card. So let's go ahead and get started. We'll start with our envelope, and we're going to do the inside of the card at the same time because I'm using the same stamps for both pieces. And I'm going to get out my polished pink ink and my tuxedo black memento ink. And we've got this little, I don't know if it's, you want to call it the stem of the flower. It looks like Robin just joined us. Welcome, Robin. Okay. And then, hang on here just a second. Okay. Okay, sorry about that. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp with the black, and I'm just going to stamp the little stem or, you know, whatever we want to call it. And then I'm going to stamp these all over my envelope flap as well. So I'm just going to put a piece of scrap paper in there so I don't stamp all over my envelope where I don't want ink. And just get these going in all sorts of different directions. Get down, Lucy. Oh, she's being naughty tonight. Oh, my goodness, what am I going to do with this dog? Hold on. Oh, I wouldn't have gone chasing after her, but she took parts for my card. Oh, she is a naughty girl. She is so naughty. Her mother really needs to teach her better. Okay, so I'm going to clean off my stamp. Lucy, get down, please. Lucy, get down. And now I'm going to put my lid on that ink before I do something dangerous. Yeah, she thinks she's a big help, Kathy. You know what? Don't let this be a spoiler alert here, but she's not much help. Okay, so now I'm just lining these up on my little stem things. They kind of remind me of cherry blossoms. I don't know why, because I know that cherry blossoms aren't really like this, but I think it's just the kind of shapeless flowers, which you see a lot like in paintings of cherry blossoms, maybe. Let me get that over there like that. Maybe that's why it makes me think of them. And the color I did. I think that also contributes to it. There we go. So now my envelope is done. Let's stamp here on the inside of the card. There, color. Now I'll clean off my stamp. You know, it's funny, this is one of those stamp sets that when it first came out in the annual catalog last year, everybody went bonkers over it. People just loved it. And of course, everybody was using it and everybody was loving it. And then of course, you know, new stuff came out along the way. And so it kind of took a back seat. And I haven't seen a lot of people use it a lot lately. And it's such a pretty set. Okay, so my card base is crumb cake. It's just a half of a sheet of 8.5 by 5.5, scored in the middle at 4 1/4. And take my bone folder. There we go. And then I have a small piece that I ran through my embossing machine with the painted texture embossing folder. I really like this embossing folder. It's just a nice kind of neutral style. So you can use it on something that's a little dressy or something that's a little casual. It works for both styles of cards. So I do like it a lot. It isn't super busy. So now let's glue this piece to the inside of our card. Just lining it up there. And now I have this piece that I'm going to go ahead and glue on to the front of my card. And this is a little tip for you. Each of my cards tonight is going to have some sort of a little tip for you. The tip on this one was using tone on tone with your cardstock to create a little bit of texture with an embossing folder. So as you see, as I mentioned, I ran this piece through my embossing folder, and then I'm putting the same color on the back, I'm sorry, I'm not speaking very good English. Words are hard. Hey, Tammy, welcome. This is a little bit crooked. So I'm using the same color for my card base as I did for my embossed piece. And what that does is it just gives you a little bit of a subtle background because you've got that texture change. But because the color didn't change, it doesn't just pop out at you. It makes it nice and subtle. Okay, so now the next thing I'm going to do is I have a piece of basic white. Let me get my black out again. This time I'm going to stamp this flower, the nice big one. Ink that up nice. And I'm going to line it up, I think, kind of right about here. Wow, it didn't do that very dark, did it? That's okay. That's okay. It'll still look good. Clean off my stamp. Put away my ink pad. Okay. And I can put away my polished pink ink as well because I'm not going to use it anymore. I'm going to use my Stampin' Blend markers. I'm going to start by taking, this is the light Daffodil Delight, and I'm going to just color in the center of this little flower right there. And then I'm going to take my polished pink. I've got light and dark. I'm going to start with my dark here. I'm using the brush tip for the moment, and I'm just kind of coloring the base of the petals, just there at the bottom. I'm not being too precise with it. I'm just making sure I get them all. There we go. Now I'm going to get this one as well, right around the center of my flower, like so. And then I'm going to take my light polished pink, and here I'm going to go ahead and color the tips, but I'm also going to blend a little bit where that dark is. So I'm coloring it in a little, but then blend where the colors meet. And all you really have to do is kind of scribble over that point where the colors meet, and that gets them to blend. These markers are so easy to use, and you know, I'm not an artist when it comes to, you know, coloring and shading and all that, and that's why I love these markers, because they're so easy to work with and they do that work for you. So it is really nice. And then of course, as the color kind of absorbs into the paper, then you really can start to see that shading take effect. Now I'm going to do this one the same way, where I'm going to color in the ends of the flowers, but where that line is, where the two colors meet, I'm going to scribble a little bit. See, you can see as I do this how scribbling over where those colors meet, it really does kind of take away some of that distinction between the two colors. Now I'm going to take my two soft succulent. I'm going to take the dark first. You know, some people like to do the light and then go over it with the dark. I personally like to do the dark first and then blend it in with my light one. That's what works for me. But you know, you might be different. Now I'm going to take the light one, do the same thing I did with my petals. Color in the white area and kind of scribble over the dark area so that it all blends together. There we go. So my boss asked me today what my plans were for Christmas in regard to, you know, taking time off. Can you believe it's time to start thinking about that kind of thing already? It's like, how can it be Christmas already? Or Christmas thinking time? Okay, so now I've got my flower done. And I'm going to go ahead and put it on this piece of polished pink cardstock. like so. Hello, Lucy. You can see she's here trying to help again. She's not as much help as she thinks she is. And now I pre-scored this piece just so that I would know exactly where I wanted to fold it. You certainly don't have to pre-score it. I just like that, it makes it a little easier. But then be sure to go over it with your bone folder so that you have a nice crisp edge. And I'm gonna glue that in place. So it's got that little fold along the bottom. Then I have my linen thread. And what I did is I just wrapped it around a couple of times. Let's see here, leave myself enough to be able to tie a nice little bow. The dog is barking at my purse. Not sure why. Okay, and Lucy, you're just fine. There's nothing in there that's going to get you. We have a sliding glass door here, and sometimes she barks at the dog she sees in the door. By that I mean her reflection, but she doesn't think it's her apparently, and so she barks at it. Okay, so I've got my little bow here now. Now I'm just kind of playing with it to make sure to get my loops the size that I want them and get my bow kind of angling the direction I want it to be. And then I'm just going to kind of scooch it over a little because I want my bow to be off center. There we go, like that. And I'm going to wait to trim the tails until I put this on my card so that I can kind of see how long it is. In the meantime, I have this little circle that I cut from my Stylish Shapes dies. We're going to stamp a tiny little sentiment on it. And for that, where's my tiny little sentiment? Here it is, right here. And it just says, "Feel better, friend." So I'm going to bring my black ink back out again. I'm going to stamp it right, I'm going to shoot for the center of the circle. There we go. Lucy, honey, you are just fine. You know, it's funny, Lucy doesn't usually bark at other dogs. Like even if they're barking at her, she doesn't bark at them. Well, our poor neighbor dogs, my neighbor has two, and Lucy likes to go out there and she's excited to see them. But they start barking and then they get in trouble for barking. And I feel so bad for them. Okay, so now I have some of my foam adhesive. Gosh, I told you, words are hard. And I'm going to trim it down a little bit here so that I can put it on the back of this polished pink piece of cardstock. I think I might need to get another little strip of it here. Let's put this on here. Oh, I know what I could do though. I know what I could do. I have an idea, everybody. I'm going to take this little one and just go like this. Hold on, Lucy Goosey. There, look at that. Now I'll just peel the back off of these, the release paper. Some people call it release tape. And I'm just going to put it on here at a bit of an angle. And then I'm going to take my little circle and I'm going to use the mini dimensionals just because the big ones would work, but I don't want to get them I don't want to get this baker's twine or the linen thread under a dimensional, so I can use the smaller ones and kind of put them in places that then I don't have to worry about the thread getting kind of in the way. So let's see, let's put a couple pieces here at the top. Sorry about that. Naughty dog rides again. She just stole something and I had to get it back from her. She is in rare form tonight, isn't she? Goodness gracious. Okay. So I've got my little pieces of foam or dimensionals here. Take the backs off. And then I'm just going to put this little circle right here. It's kind of crooked. There we go. And let's trim the tails of my bow. Oops, this one's a little long. There we go. And last but not least, I've got some little gems I want to put on here just to bring out a little bit of that yellow that I did in the center of my flower. A good rule of thumb is that when you use a color, to try to use it twice. Now, I only used the green once, but there's quite a bit of it. Because there's so little of the yellow, I wanted to pull that yellow out a little bit. So let's get some of these little dots and we'll put one there. I'm gonna need to open the pack another pack because I just want to use the little ones. Just so you know, our acetate window sheets, apparently they taste great. Lucy is taste testing one now as we speak. So here we go. Here's card number 1. There we go. And you could really put any little sentiment in there. It could be a hello, or, you know, like I chose to use the Feel Better Friend. I'm going to move this little dimensional right here. But any little sentiment would be nice there. There we go. Okay, so we'll move that out of the way, clean up my mess a little bit, and we'll get going on card number 2. Lots of little pieces here to throw away. Okay, now for card number 2, I'm using the Glad We're Friends stamp set. I love this set. I think it's so cute. And I think I've mentioned this before. When I saw this set, I had to buy it because my son has guinea pigs and my parents have a corgi. So it was like, because of those two things, I had to get it. And I really do like it. I think it's a very cute set. So here's the card we're gonna make. Ta-da! And this one, I actually cased this, which means if you're new to stamping, casing a card means you copy and selectively edit. I've actually heard several different ways to say that. I've heard copy and steal everything, copy and selectively edit. Anyway, I got this idea off of Pinterest, and Judith Patterson was the name of the person who did this. I changed it up just a little bit, but the original idea was Judith's. Okay, so move my stamps out of the way. And first we've got our card base. I'm just using basic white. It's standard card base, 8.5 by 5.5, scored in the middle at 4 1/4. And there we go. Okay, and I'm going to set that aside for a moment. Let's go ahead and decorate our envelope. And for that, I'm just using a strip that's 2.5 by 6 inches, and this is our Sweet Sorbet from our new In Colors Designer Series paper pack. I love to get the Color Family paper packs of the Designer Series paper. They all have the same prints regardless of what color family they are, but it is nice to just have something a little neutral to use whenever I just want to step it up a little bit. And I'm not necessarily coordinating it with something like like our Designer Series papers do coordinate with stamp sets we have and such. So now I'm just putting a little bit of glue here around the edge of my envelope. Not a lot, because you don't want the glue squishing out everywhere. I do want to get a little closer to the edge though. Okay. There we go. And now I'm just going to set it on here. Line up my edges. I do recommend using the liquid glue for this because then you can kind of slide the paper around a little bit to make sure it lines up the way you want it to. Those of you who watched me last week saw that I had not unpacked my liquid glue, and so I used my Seal Plus to glue to adhere my envelope flap like this, and that works. There's nothing saying you can't do it that way, but I do prefer to use the liquid glue. And we have several different types of adhesive that we offer, and I use them all depending on what I'm doing. Most of them will work for just about everything you do, but different ones work better in different scenarios, different situations, and so I tend to kind of go back and forth on what I'm using depending on what I'm using it for. So we have our envelope ready here. Now, as you can see from here, I brought in the 5 colors of our new 2022 through 2023 in colors, and I just made little strips that are 1 inch wide of each of the 5 colors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adhere them to the front of my card. But if you're like me and you go and you start gluing these down, once you get done, you realize that you started off at a little bit of an angle and now they're all going at an angle, or maybe you were off center and things aren't centered the way you want it. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to lay down my strips in the order that I want them on my card. Just like this. Goodness, there we go. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of my tear and tape, and I'm going to line it up ahead of time. Line these up like this. Just using a little bit of the tape. It doesn't take a whole lot. And I'm going to get them all lined up and stuck together the way I want them. So then when I go to put it on my card, it's like putting down a single sheet of paper. And I can make sure that it's centered the way I want it. I can make sure that it's straight. And that just saves me a little bit of headache. Some people can eyeball it and get it on there perfectly straight and just fine. And that's great. I am not one of those people. So last piece here. I do like our tear and tape. I use it for quite a few different things. Now line this up. Oh good, I'm glad you liked that tip, Tammy. Yes, Kathy, you do need to order this stamp set. It is so cute. I love it. And in answer to your question, Kathy, Kathy asked if smooshing is a technical term. Yes, it is. And, I apologize for using technical terms, that you might not have been prepared for. Okay, so. And yes, Tammy, have Jim help with the glue. I watched your video and I was cracking up at that. Okay, so I can just lay this down like a single sheet now, and it's going to go on nice and easy. I am going to use a little more adhesive than I would normally use because these are all separate strips. I want to make sure they all have some adhesive on them. And now I'm going to just line it up so that it's centered on my card, or as centered as I can get it anyway. Centered and straight is what I'm shooting for. Okay, close enough. And, oh my goodness, I forgot to cut myself a white piece right there. So, let's see what that measurement was, and we'll get that cut out. Like the main piece, and I forgot to cut it. So, it looks like this is 4 by 2 3/4. So, let's get that cut really quickly. Okay. Now I'm going to take a cute little kitty. Now here is my tip for this card. You know, we get to thinking these stamps that are outlines where we would color them in, and we get to thinking we need to color the whole image, right? But sometimes it's kind of fun to leave it black and white, or, you know, whatever color you stamped with, and just color a single focal point, like in this case, the crowns. So again, I'm going to use my tuxedo black, and I'm going to start with my middle one. And I'm just going to try to line it up as best as I can. Stamp myself 3 of these cute little kitties. Ta-da! And it looks like I got a little bit of ink on there where I didn't want to. So I'm going to put my ink away for starters. And then I'm going to use my sand eraser. Stampin' Up! Does not carry these. This is just something I bought on Amazon for a couple bucks. And when you have just tiny little bits of ink, you can use it to get that off. Now, it would not say I wanted to get rid of one of these cats entirely. It wouldn't work for that. But when you get just tiny little bits of ink where you don't want them, it's really nice for that. Okay. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Stampin' Blends. I have, these are all the light shades of Starry Night, Sweet Sorbet, and Orchid Oasis. And I am going to color in these adorable little crowns. I'm going a little bit slow just because in those points of the crown, I don't want to go out of the lines. Yeah, Marcy said, show us if you could erase Cemetery Cat. No, I could not. It would end up looking really, really sad. In fact, if you want though, I will get out a piece of scrap paper and show you how ineffective it is. Okay, so I've got my little kitty there. And then I'm going to wrap a little bit of Baker's Twine. This is the in color Baker's Twine. It comes in a pack of 5, and you get all 5 of the in colors in this pack. And isn't this cute where it's wrapped around like this? And what I'm going to do is I should have done my kitties up a little bit higher, and I forgot and centered them. So that's kind of a bummer, but that's okay. Rumor has it that life will go on. And I'm just going to tie this. Right now it's up a little higher than what I want, but that's okay because I can move it after I've got it tied. Isn't that a pretty little mess right there? So now we'll play with the bow to get it the size that I want it. It's not quite as tight as I would have liked. That I can fix as well. There we go. And I can move this off to the side, which of course then gets it all twisted up again. Okay. Now I think this one's going to want to kind of twist up anyway, just because it is twisted to get the effect of the 2 different colors. So a little trick for that, this move down a little bit, is to just take a glue dot and put it behind the knot of the bow. And then it doesn't show up, but it does hold your bow in place. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'm just kind of rolling it up on my Take Your Pick tool. And I'm going to put it right there. And get my bow right out where I want it. See, now it looks ugly. Come on, you little ugly bow. And again, I'm going to wait to cut my tails until I have it on the card and see how it looks from there. So let's go ahead and glue this down now. My adhesive is going off the edge of my paper because my bow is a little, or my baker's twine is a little closer to the edge than what I would have originally wanted. So all you have to do is fold it back up over on itself. That gets it out of the way. Just like so. Oh my gosh, I'm so silly. I didn't want that kind of adhesive. I wanted to use a foam sheet again. Goodness gracious, Heather. Okay, so let's see. I want to make it about this wide, I think. See about how long it's going to be. Okay. Yeah, that might be a little wider than I should have gone, but that's okay. I just want to make sure it's not sticking out. Wow, I got that right spot on. Let's trim it down just a tad. Oop. Maybe trim down just a little bit this direction too. And then I've got really thin little strips to use later. You know, these pieces that I cut off, I keep them in a little bag. And when I need smaller pieces, I just grab from that bag. Okay, now I'm going to peel this off. And I'm going to put it on the front of my card. Just like that. Then I have this little strip, and we're going to stamp Happy Birthday on there. Now the sentiment actually says growing older is mandatory, growing up is optional, happy birthday. But I just want the happy birthday piece of that. So I'm going to take a little bit of my Post-it tape, and I'm putting it over the part of the sentiment that I don't want to use so that it doesn't get inked up. Let's move some stuff out of the way here. Put these little extra pieces in my bag. Okay, now I'm going to take my Starry Night ink. I'm using the Orchid Oasis cardstock, but I'm using Starry Night ink because I want to make sure that it really stands out. If I had used the Orchid Oasis ink, it still would have stood out a little bit darker than the cardstock, but I really wanted to make sure that this stands out, so I am using the darker ink. And I'm going to stamp it on here, and I'm going to do my best to get it straight. Ta-da! It's a little crooked, but you know. Clean off my stamp. And then I'm going to take my little tiny dimensionals. Where'd they go? And I'm going to do the same thing that I did on the last card, where I am having this piece right here straddle the baker's twine. So take your pick tool. Oh, you know what actually might work better? Let me show you what might work better. I'm going to take my foam adhesive strips because they're nice and thin. And I'm just going to put it right along the edges, just like this. Gosh, that one couldn't have been any better length, right? I really like the foam adhesive strips. They're nice for this kind. They're nice for so many different things. They're great for shaker cards. They make shaker cards super duper easy. But they're also really good for something like this where you really need to be careful about the thickness or the width because these are nice and thin. And then the piece that I don't use, I can just stick right back on the backing here and use it next time, so it doesn't get wasted. Okay, now let's pull the backing off here. Goodness, come on. Come on, you. It usually comes off really easily. And I'm just going to put this right here. And now we can trim this, the edges of the baker's twine. And then let's put something on the inside here. We'll do another one of the kitties. So I'll get my black back out. I'm just going to do it in the lower corner here. Now, I'm going to color in that crown just like I did on the front. One thing you want to be aware of when you color with the markers, it does soak through the paper, especially the basic white. Usually that's not an issue because you're layering it over something else and nobody sees the back. In this case, people will be able to see the back, but it's such a small little piece, I decided that didn't bother me. Now, the very last touch, let's put away the ink pad. And the very last touch is let's put a few rhinestones on that middle kitty's crown. So right there on that one. And you could put them on all three crowns if you chose. I chose to just pop up that middle one. So there's card number 2. Cute, huh? Okay. Now let's put some stuff away and we'll get going on card number 3. We're making pretty good time tonight. I shouldn't have said that. Whenever I say that, all of a sudden I slow way down. Okay. Now, this card, I'm using the Good Feelings stamp set. I love big fonts like this. And so I'm always excited when Stampin' Up! Comes out with sets like this. Here's the card we're going to make. This uses the Black and White Designs Designer Series paper. And I don't know how well you can see it in the picture, but I've got a little pinwheel here on the corner that we're going to make. I have one on the inside as well. And something that I wanted to show you, you wouldn't want to do this if you're mailing the card, but if you're just going to hand deliver the card, you can make a bigger pinwheel and put it on the front of your envelope too. So I had a bigger one that I made that I decided was too big, but I kept it because I wanted to show you, you could put it on the front of your card. Okay, whoops, I don't know why I just put it back in there. Okay, so let's move some stuff out of the way. Let's do our envelope first. Again, for this one, I'm just going to go ahead and adhere a strip onto a strip of Designer Series paper onto my envelope flap. So a little bit of glue. Hold on, Lucy. Okay. A little bit in the center there. Now, my tip for this card is it has to do with using our, specifically in this case, the Black and White Designer Series paper. But my tip is don't be afraid to mix and match your Designer Series papers. Like in this case, with this one, with this particular pack, every sheet has the same print on both sides, but one side has a gray background and one side has a white background. So it's really easy to mix and match the same sheet, just flipping over the different sides. But some of our other packs, that's not the case, but the prints go together, or they coordinate well. And of course, when it's a whole pack, the pack itself coordinates. So there's a lot of different ways you can mix and match your designer series papers. So when you look at your pack of paper, sometimes allow yourself to think of more than one of them on your card. I think it's really easy to think of one as a big background piece or whatever, but challenge yourself to mix and match your designer series papers. Okay, so let's get going on making this card. My card base is another standard base, 8.5 by 5.5, scored in the middle at 4 1/4. Get down loose. We got a bunch of snow the last couple days, and well, not a bunch, but we got enough. And Lucy, this is Lucy's first snow, and she is loving it. But she comes in and she's got snow all over her paws and all over her snout and everywhere. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, I've got my inside piece, and I didn't think I stamped anything. Let's go ahead and glue this to the inside. We're going to put a pinwheel in the inside, but we'll wait to put that on since we're not stamping. Usually I suggest stamp your stuff before you glue it in. That way, if you make a mistake, you only have to replace that one sheet and not the whole card. But since we're not stamping that, I feel okay just putting it in there so that I don't have this extra piece floating around. Now I'm going to take my real red piece that I have right here, and I have all my little strips that I cut. I cut 4 1-inch strips, and see how they're gray on the front and white on the back. And I'm going to start gluing these guys down. Now I'm going to show you another kind of fun tip for what I did for gluing these. So I put a little bit of glue on this strip, like so, right? Then I took another strip, glue it down facing the same direction, line them up, and then press it flat. Now the reason I did this is then I don't have a ton of glue on my card, but also it kind of spreads that glue out a little bit, so it glues it all down really nicely. Make sure you take them apart before your glue starts to adhere, like it just did here. And let's see, I'm going to start with this piece, right? Oh, I guess I can't start with this piece. I was trying to lay it down with the glue the wrong side, putting the glue on the facing up. That doesn't work. The glue has to face down. See, the things I teach you. But see how well it's just laying it there really nice. I'm going to do this on my silicone mat so that I don't get glue all over my paper. And now I'm going to take this strip, and I just want a tiny little bit of that red to show through between the two strips, just like that. That's kind of a little crooked. I wonder if I can fix that. Okay, and now I'm going to do the same thing where I'm going to put some glue down and lay 2 pieces together. Oops. I get them going so that the same colors facing up. That way I'm getting glue on a white side and I'm getting glue on a gray side. And peel them right apart like so. And now what I'm going to do is line this up like this. And then I'm going to line this one up like this. And then I'm going to take these pieces that kind of go off the edge like this. There's one. And then this one as well. And now these are going to be my next row. Like that. Flip it over so the wider part is up here. And I'm going to do this one the same way. And now I'm going to go through and I'm going to trim off all this extra. Just like so. Get some of these pieces off my scissors. Looks like this one is a little bit off. There we go. And I can picture this with lots of different designer series papers mixing and matching, not just the black and white. But if you wanted to do just the black and white like this, this is a great pack of paper. And it is in our July through December mini catalog. So it will be going away soon. So you definitely want to get your hands on it before it's gone. Okay, that probably was the most time-consuming part of this card. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to mount that onto a piece of our gray. It is basic gray. You'd think I'd be able to remember that. There's a little bit of my gray sticking off the edge here that I don't like, so I'm going to trim that down. There we go. Okay. And I just got a very, very small margin on here to create my edge. Ooh. I didn't get that very straight at all. Let's try that again. There we go. That's, well, better anyway. Okay, so now we'll line that up on the gray, just so I have a tiny little bit of a gray margin around the edge. And now we're going to glue this onto the front of our card. Oh my goodness, Lucy. She just took off with a pack of paper. All the paper fell out, which is good because then she doesn't eat it, but now she has the little plastic bag that she's going to eat. Oh, this dog. She's so poorly behaved. Someone needs to complain to her mother. Hey, Lori, welcome. Okay, so now we've got that on there. I'm going to take this piece of real red and I'm going to stamp my sentiment on here. Now, in this case, because I'm stamping on kind of a darker cardstock, I decided I want to use my Stamparatus, and here's why. If I don't feel like it stamps it dark enough, by using the Stamparatus, I can redo it, and I know it's going to stamp in exactly the same spots, so that I can do more than one coat if I need to, or more than one, I don't know what you call it. Now I'm lining this up. I like to line mine up with this corner right here, just because then I always know exactly where I had my paper lined up before. The stamp is mounted onto this acrylic piece, and it's going to stamp right there like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink up my stamp. Get lots of ink on there, because like I said, I am stamping onto a darker cardstock. And then you just go over it, push it really well. This is just an air hockey paddle, or whatever you call it. And there we go. Yeah, I like that. That's nice and dark. But if it hadn't stamped evenly or dark enough, then I could re-ink it and stamp it again, and it would stamp in the exact same spot. So I don't have to worry about things not lining up quite right. Lucy, no. Okay. Now let's go ahead and clean off that stamp really quick. You can kind of see off to the side here, I'm just using my Simply Chamois and going over my stamp. And I'll put the stamp itself away later, but for now I'll just set it aside. And let's go ahead and glue this down onto the basic gray piece. Again, just a small margin. Judy, I just bought mine on Amazon for, I think I ended up getting 2 for like $7 or something like that. Okay. Lucy. Okay. Now, again, I'm going to use my foam adhesive sheets just because I like them and they're easy. Looks good. And I do want a little strip in the middle there, so let's, because I don't want it to sag. So we'll just put a little bit in the middle here. There we go. It's not pretty, but it doesn't show, so it doesn't have to be pretty. And now I'm going to stick this on the front of my card. And I'm kind of making it a little bit off center so that it's kind of in the corner there. So, yeah, be careful with your foam adhesive sheets though, because once they stick down, they want to stay put. They don't want to come up again. So you got to be careful to make sure things are the way you want them. And see, I think that's a little bit crooked. And it's not going to come up very easy, but I'm going to do it anyway. Okay. Do not try this at home. Let's see. Try to get it nice and straight. There we go. That's better. Okay, now, if you are like me, and it's been a year or 2 since you were in kindergarten, you may have forgotten how to make pinwheels. So I'm going to show you. Super, super easy. Cut yourself a piece of square designer series paper or cardstock or whatever you choose to use. In this case, they're 1 inch by 1 inch squares. And I am cutting along the corner here, not quite to the center. So shoot for about 2/3 of the way from the corner to the center. I'll do both of them. Judy, I'm an Amazon shopper too. I I don't like shopping is the thing. And so if I can just go online and buy it, and I have a Prime membership, so I don't have to worry about shipping. It's worth it to me to pay the annual membership fee. I don't have to deal with shipping. I don't have to deal with crowds, all that good stuff. Okay, so now it looks like I did cut it a little too close on that one, but it'll be fine since it's not a real pinwheel, it's just for decoration. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one corner, I'm going to fold it so that the tip of the corner there goes to the center. And I need to find my liquid glue. I'm putting a dot of glue right in the center there like that, so that when I fold my little corners in, I'm going to do this with all 4 corners. Fold it in and the glue will hold it down. You do still kind of have to hold it with your fingers a little bit until the glue gets tacky. That's okay. There we go. And then I'm going to take my bone folder and I'm just going along those little folds. Make them nice and sharp. And then I have a piece of real red, and I just have an old hole punch here. And I'm going to punch out 2 circles because I'm going to need 2 since I'm making 2 pinwheels. There we go. And a little more glue in the center of my pinwheel. Not a lot, because it really is just a tiny little circle that we're putting on there. Hold it for just a second, allow it to get tacky. And now our first one is done. So let's go ahead and do the second one. Little glue in the center. I said a little glue in the center. There we go. And then fold your corners in. Try to get back on the screen here. I forget and I go out. I pull it toward myself and I forget and I go off the screen. And if your centers aren't lining up perfectly, that's okay, because we're putting that little dot over the middle. We'll cover that up. So, got all my little pieces here. Going to make my edges sharp. I have a ton of glue on my fingertips, which if you made a bigger pinwheel, you probably wouldn't end up with the glue everywhere like I am. And a little dot of glue again. And put my little circle in the center of my pinwheel. And set it down. Now, once this dries, can you see the dark, let me show you, this little dark spots where I got glue and it just got yucky. When it dries, I'll take my glue eraser and just erase that off, so it's not a big deal. But now what I'm going to do is I want to put this on my card. So I'll put a little bit of glue in the center of this one. And I'm just going to stick it right here, the corner of my card on the inside. And then on this one, I'm only going to put glue at the top because it does go off the edge of that piece, and I don't want to have a bunch of glue sticking out. There we go. Kind of want to turn this a little bit. I kind of want it to, whoops. There we go. Okay. So again, once this dries a little bit, then I'll take my glue eraser and get some of that yucky stuff off. Put this away. And so now that was card number 2. What do you guys think? Kind of fun, huh? So let's put some stuff away, and then I'll pull out all the cards that we made and just kind of take a peek at everything that we did tonight. Oh, my dog made a huge mess with that plastic bag she stole. She had a great time doing it though, so that's what counts, right? Okay, so here's the cards we made. We made the pinwheel one. Let's move this out of the way. We made our pinwheel card. If you guys enjoyed what we did tonight, I would love to see some thumbs up, some hearts, any of those things. What they do is they tell the Facebook and YouTube algorithms that you guys enjoyed this and other people might also enjoy it. So that helps me out. And also sharing my video helps a lot. So if you share this on your own page, you never know who in your feed might enjoy seeing it. And that helps me a lot as well. So there's our 3 cards we made tonight. If you wanted to order some of the supplies that I used to make these cards, or need to stock up on some stuff of your own, or want to take advantage of that Fitting Florets early release that I told you about, I would love to earn your business. And you can shop on my online store at heathersides.stampinup.net. If you have any questions or comments or suggestions, you can contact me at stamphappenings@gmail.com, or you can message me here on Facebook. If you do go to my website and place an order, if you would please use this host code, that would help me a lot. That's what helps me to continue to provide these videos for free and the prizes and things like that. But if your order is over $150, please do not use the code, because you will have, with an order that size, you will have some rewards coming to you from Stampin' Up, and I want to make sure that you are the one to get those rewards. Now, I just noticed a comment or question from Teresa. She said, do you prefer to use adhesive rather than the magnets? I guess I'm not quite sure what you're referring to, Teresa. If you could maybe just give me a little more detail. I think we were making the pinwheel card at the time, and I'm not sure where I would use magnets for this unless I wanted to be able to take the pinwheels off. And in this case, I don't, because I mean, they're too small to really work as pinwheels. I just recently got some magnets that are strong enough and thin enough. It's hard to find magnets that are thin enough that they don't really bulk up your card, but strong enough that they'll stick through our cardstock. And I'm actually planning on starting to play with those. So watch for that in an upcoming video. I am going to start playing with those. But if you have other questions, a different question, I didn't answer your question there about the magnets, definitely let me know, because I want to be able to give you some feedback on that. So anyway, thank you guys all for joining me tonight. I love spending my Wednesday evenings with you. Teresa said on the Stamparatus. I don't usually use my magnets just because I'm often stamping a big part of my paper and I don't want them to be in the way, but I have them there just in case. You're right, I did put a little bit of adhesive on there so that it stayed in place, and most of the time that is what I use. But like I said, I do keep the magnets on hand because every now and then I do use them. That's a great question. So anyway, if you have any questions or comments, I'd love to hear from you. If I don't hear from you, I hope to see you. Well, even if I do hear from you, I still hope to see you guys next Wednesday, where I'll come to you with 3 more new projects. Have a great week, everybody.